You're welcome, my dear SS2 students. I really missed you, but all the same, we're going to do something today. Today we're going to summarize what we did last week. And then after that, I will give an assignment. I told you that today will be, this week will be more of what? Revision. So last week we discussed the processes of lawmaking in the state and national assembly. So this was what we did last week. The processes of lawmaking in the state and national assembly. So I told you last week that the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a bicameral legislature. We have bicameral. And it is established in the section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution. Then I told you that this bicameral here means what? It means that the National Assembly is made up of what? Two houses, which are the upper and the lower house. Then we have the Senate as the upper house, and then we have the House of Reps as what? The lower house. Then same last week we talked about bill. I told you that a bill is not a law until it is signed by the president. So a bill is not a law until it is signed into law by the executive or by the president. Then we said that a bill is just a proposal of what? Action that is still under what? Discussion in the parliament. Then later it can be signed by the president, and then it becomes what? A law. And I also told you that a bill can take maybe a year before it becomes what? A law. Because you can't, a member of the house cannot just present a bill and then maybe in the next 1 week or two it becomes a law. The two houses have to do what? Deliberate on it. Becomes what? A law. Then we also discussed on the types of on the types of bills. I said we have public bill, we have private bill, and then we also have money bill. Then under the public bill, this has to do with the issues that are confronting the country. You know, we have so many issues now confronting the country, isn't it? COVID-19 is one of the things now confronting Nigeria, the country. We also have so many other things, like in rainy season now, so many areas are suffering from what? Erosions and all that. All these things are issues confronting the country. Fulani headsmen, these are issues confronting what? The country. And then this kind of bill falls under the public bill. And it is often proposed by the executive arm of government. Then we talk about the private bill. Private bill, types of bill, let me write it on the board. Types of bills. I've talked about the public bill already. Now we have the private bill. Now this private bill is a bill that is presented by a member of the House, a parliamentarian or a lawmaker. So that's why we call it what? Private bill. Then we also have money bill. Money bill. Now, this money bill is often introduced to by the executive or the executive arm of government. Now, this has to do with the way government raises and spends what? Money. So it is more of what? Budget. Now, let us see the procedures on how a law could become what? How a bill could become a law. I told you that a bill cannot just become a law overnight. There are so many stages that are involved here. Before a bill becomes a law, it must pass through these stages. We have about 7 of them. We have 1, first reading, second reading, the committee stage, the report stage, the third reading, the upper house, and finally the assent. Now, under the first reading, this is the first stage of what? The bill. The bill is presented. And here it is required that this bill should be, the title of the bill should be read by a clerk in the house. Now, the reason why this thing should be read is for what? For the members of the house to know the title of the bill. Then after which, the bill will be what? Printed into what? Into pamphlets, depending on the contents of the bill. And then it will be distributed or given to each member of the house for further what? Study. Then in the second bill, or second stage rather, the bill has already been what? Presented. It has already been presented in the first stage or in the first reading. Now, the member that introduced this bill will do what? Will move or appeal that the title of the bill should be what? Read again. Then the title will be reread. After which, the members of the house will now discuss on the contents of the bill. After which, again, the bill will be debated on. And then a vote will be taken based on what is contained in the bill. And then if majority of the house admits that, okay, the bill should be taken to the next stage, the bill will now be what? Taken to the next stage for what? Further discussion and so on and so forth. Then after this second reading, it goes to the next what? Stage, which is the committee stage. Already in this committee stage, the bill has already been approved in the second stage, which is what? Second reading. So what they do here is what? They now send it to the report stage for better discussions and amendments. Because I told you that a bill cannot just become a law overnight. So many people have to talk on it, discuss, examine the contents of what? The bill. Now when the bill from the second stage or second reading goes to the committee stage, it has already been approved in the second stage. The committee will now do what? Send it to the report stage for further and detailed what? Discussions. And then when the bill gets to the report stage, further suggestions, amendments, and discussions will be made based on the content of what? The bill. Then a member can decide to do what? A member can decide to move so that the bill can do what? Be sent to the next stage. And then the bill will be what? Sent to the next stage, which is what? The third reading. Now in the third reading, only verbal amendments is what's required. I told you that it is not written amendments, but what? Just verbal amendments will be made in the house. And at this stage also, the bill can be what? Can be rejected or what? Accepted, depending still on the content of what? The bill. Then a thorough examination is done on the bill in order to improve on the actual drafting of what? The bill. Then after that, the bill will be sent to the next house, which is what? The upper house. So I told you that we have by camera here, we have the upper and lower house, and the upper house is what? The Senate. Now the house will be, the bill will be sent to the upper house. And then, if there is any need for further amendments and discussions or scrutiny based on the contents of the bill, The upper house can do what? Can invite the House of Reps, and then the two of them will sit together to iron things out. After which, the bill will be sent for a presidential assent. Remember, this is the final stage. When a bill has this signature, a presidential signature, it finally becomes what? A law. So these are the stages involved in what? In a bill becoming a law. So for now, I'm going to give you an assignment. You will do the assignment, then by next week, if possible, you can still send the answer to us. If not, I will still give you the answer to the assignment, and then from there I can now teach based on your answers. Thank you. Now this is the assignment. 1. A unicameral legislature like A. 2 house. 3. 1 house. Then C. 1 head of state. The number 2. The number of chambers in a bicameral legislature is A. 4. B. 2. And C. 3. The number 3. A federal system of government is adopted in a state with A. A single ethnic group. B. Small population with large expanse of land. And then C. Marked inequalities among the component units. Then number 4. Countries adopt a federal government because of A. Uneven development. B. The fear of domination. And then C. Adoption of the state religion. Then number 5. Which of the following is a demerit or disadvantage of a bicameral legislature? A. There is tendency for what? Despotic rule. Then B. Passing of bill is delayed. C. The scope of political participation is limited. Then this is the theoretical aspect. 1. Define bill. This is simple. Then 2. Outline 5 processes a bill becomes a law in a presidential government. And then 2. Accounts for the adoption of federalism in Nigeria. We've done this. Then identify at least 3 factors that led to the formation of federalism in Nigeria. So you can attempt this question at home. Thank you very much.